Welcome to Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast. That show where a bunch of guys get together and talk about Star Trek. I'm your host, Lars.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Brandon.
In this episode, we're going to rank, not review, but rank the top 12 Star Trek movies on Tier Maker.
Yep. We got Tier Maker pulled up and we are ready to have some fun.
All right.
Make some tears.
Yeah. You make my bottom cry brown tears. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. So now you can see the wonderful Tier Maker screen we've got with all 12 movies along the bottom. And we're going to, Patrick is in control of this, and we're going to have him drag those movies onto these different tiers so that we can make a list of movies from top being best, bottom being worst. Well, actually,
long story short,
bottom being doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So basically a tiered list.
Basically, we're going to discuss each movie and figure out where we're going to put it on the tier list. We have at least 2 to 3 movies that we will only be putting one movie in S tier. So, prediction. So, right now, if you want to make predictions, which movie you're putting in S tier, you know your possibilities are Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 6, The Final Frontier, and Star Trek First Contact. Because those 3 are the shit.
Legit.
So let's just jump into this. Let's start with the shit. We are going to bring up Star Trek: The Motionless Picture. I'm sorry, Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I can't say it with motionless. I watched the best parts of this movie today, which is about 8 minutes. You know, it's all the starship board shots.
I was going to say, is that include? Was this the director's cut that came out this year?
No, I couldn't find any version of it to watch, although I was going to skip forward to watching Kirk show up to the Enterprise and about jizz himself watching himself circle slowly around so he gets as much starship port as possible, and then the slow starship port as they slowly start moving out of space dock like this.
Yeah, seriously.
Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 da da dum.
Well,
so how long is that scene actually? Has someone how many minutes is it? Like where they're just staring at the ship.
The arriving at the Enterprise is about 5. The clip was about 5 minutes. It was 3 minutes for them to fly out. So for 5 minutes, Kirk was doing Enterprise, which apparently, if he could, I think he probably would have had sex with the Enterprise if he could. To be honest. Okay, so
I get it. The Enterprise
this is
awesome.
one where Kirk takes over the Enterprise after leaving its command. He comes back, takes over the Enterprise to go after a giant probe called V'ger.
V'ger.
It turns out to be an Earth probe. They spend a lot of time flying over, around, and through it. Spock mind melds with it, and Will Decker, the temporary captain of the Enterprise, now moved to first officer, fucks the alien consciousness so that it becomes sentient. The end. Earth is saved. So.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Let's start with Lars. What are your thoughts on this movie?
Okay, as far as this movie goes, it is like the cons are the fact that the best parts are all of non-people shots. The best part about this movie is it comes built in with its own bathroom breaks.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, like most of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible movie, and you got to give it credit for, reigniting the franchise. Since it was recouped from what was supposed to be Star Trek Phase 2, the new series. Of course, they tore all those apart and made one movie out of it, and a
1 hour movie plot and stretched it to 2 hours. 2.5 if you watch the director's cut.
The thing is, when you look at it, you got to give it credit for what it is. I mean, it was a good story, but it was told in the 1970s. I mean,
that's it, yeah.
Come on, man. McCoy's showing up in his leisure suit and his big old gold chain and his giant, man beard.
They were also trying to recreate 2001: A Space Odyssey, And that movie, even though it's like the greatest sci-fi ever, there's a lot of boring parts where it's just looking at stuff, just the camera slowly looking. So it's like they were just trying to copy that, and it's like Lars said, it's not bad, but for the 1970s, it was pretty good, and it reignited Star Trek.
Yeah, that it did well enough to bring us Star Trek 2, which is definitely going on this list next.
Yeah.
Now
there was actually one other thing I really liked to this. I'm gonna say it's a B tier movie. But the other good thing about this movie is that it gave us the refit Connie class. You know, Andy Probert's redesign of the Constitution class.
Yeah. Now, there is one thing. The only downside I would say is, it also tried to capitalize on another space movie that came out a little earlier, back in '77. I absolutely move it to the C tier for just tediousness.
All right, what are you talking about? The black hole?
So,
are we talking about
the other franchise? The franchise that's my favorite, not Star Trek. That's the Star
Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh, it would be perfect. Like this would be a perfect time to put in there like a shot from
talking about the wars, man.
Yeah. It's the wars,
okay.
Bro.
So you want to put this thing B tier? You want to put this slightly boring movie B tier? I'm saying it should be C tier at best. Brandon,
I would say B tier. I would say B tier as well.
We're gonna argue this B tier. I say if it's a B tier, it's the back end of the B tier. Pretty much
fine.
anything B tier is going before
it.
So.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
So, okay, so we're good on that one. Although I kind of disagree on that, but let's get the next one.
Well,
Star Trek 2,
is it
The Wrath of Khan.
Rewatchable for you? Do you watch it sometimes?
About 8 minutes of it. Not kidding. Those 8 minutes of starship porn are the best part of that movie.
You know, it'd be great if they pulled off the whole thing from like we're in Spaceballs when they go to get Spaceballs, the movie out of the movie rental place, and they fast forward to the whole thing. And it's just like this.
There's like
the music's playing really fast.
What is happening now is happening now.
Yeah. Where are we in the movie? We can't. We can't. Why? Because we missed it. When? Just now.
Just now.
When will then be now?
Be now.
Soon.
Okay.
Oh, I love that movie.
So so let's get Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan out here.
Oh,
this
okay.
one, obviously, it's a sequel to the TOS episode Space Seed. We get the very pissed off Cod Noonien Singh manages to get a hold of a ship, recognizes Chekhov even though he never met him.
I know, that's great. Man, you are such a good bad guy. You remember people you've never met.
And of course, this leads to him trying to take out Kirk, kind of failing. Kirk discovers that he has a son, and his ex has a cool thing that makes planets. And of course, it goes into a climactic fight in a nebula. Kirk wins because, I don't buy Khan thinks two-dimensionally, but it's what it is. It is a beautiful fight. Spock dies. The end. Now I've got this.
Wait, whoa! Hang on a second. What do you mean Spock dies?
Spoiler alert.
Wait a minute. I thought he just got lost. Hence the next movie, The Search for Spock. Like he just wandered off somewhere. I didn't know he died.
He was dead.
He just wandered off into space.
I got better. He turned me into a regen. I got better. Whatever. Anyways, okay. So of course I completely just trampled. I trampled all over your synopsis.
Yeah. Let's put it this way, anybody who's listening to this podcast that has not watched Wrath of Khan, why have you not watched Wrath of Khan? It is it is definitely A tier. It is going to be it may be our S tier. well, we got to talk. We're not going to get to pick our S tier till we get to the other obvious one we're going to choose from, which is going to be First Contact. So that's 9 movies. That's like 8 movies from now.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but
we're going to leave it in the A for right now.
I had
because we can all agree it's A, if not S.
Yeah, I had Taco Bell, and then I picked my A tier.
That wasn't A tier.
You're gonna be S tiering all over later.
Probably.
So Lars, your thoughts on this movie?
Okay, so by far, definitely an A tier movie. My top 3, probably one. Like it's like a definite tie for one other movie in my A tier. I love this. Like, the story is fantastic. The only thing that it's missing is the fact that there's a lot of forgiveness you have to go with it. The fact that Khan couldn't figure out how to fight in 3 dimensions. I mean, the guy was a genius. If he didn't even, like, not even if he'd never done it before, he probably would have figured it out pretty fast. He figured out how to fly a starship. I mean, he did have all that time to read all that stuff like 20 years before when he was when they had, found him on the Botany Bay. Botany Bay? Botany Bay? Something I read about. Like, oh damn. And did they not think to get on the horn? Like, as soon as they why didn't they stay on the phone? Like, why did they get off the phone and get themselves trapped? Like, they had to put their helmets back on. They had to go back outside. Like, did they have to go back outside to get off?
I'll give you the answer to that. So the movie could happen.
Shut up.
Like every Star Trek, it's not a Star Trek episode or movie if the communicators don't stop working at the appropriate time.
Or the transporters.
Yeah, transporters the other thing.
So,
and I think it is also the first time Spock. It's also the first time in the movies that Spock really starts exaggerating. What happens in another A tier movie for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think there's much disagreement here. Like I said, we're gonna have the battle of A tiers to see who goes to the S when we get several movies in.
Yeah, it's definitely in my top 3 movies of Star Trek, so definitely belongs near the top or at the top.
Okay, so let's grab Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. In this one, Kirk and the gang realize that Spock's mind is stuck in Leonard McCoy. They steal the Enterprise, make fun of the Excelsior, take a run to the Genesis planet, which was created in the last movie. Kirk's son gets stabbed to death by the Klingons. Planet blows up. They find a young kid that turns out to be Spock, take him back to Vulcan, mind meld him back together. Yay. It's a weird plot, and most of it's just around how do we get Nimoy back?
Yeah, you know the backstory on the whole thing of how they got Leonard Nimoy to come back for Star Trek 3. He basically, because the only reason he made Star Trek 2 is he told them, you have to kill Spock, no question about it. And then when they actually did when they did the test audiences and stuff, the test screenings, and people saw what happened, they're like, holy crap. Oh my God, they're gonna kill Spock! Oh, this is madness! Oh no! And the thing is, they turn around and say, look, we're gonna slip this little thing in here just as a what if, or give us a way to bring him back in, which is the whole thing with he does the remember bit on McCoy, and then he goes and as soon as Star Trek 2 comes out, it goes gangbusters. Like where the motionless picture was okay, the second one was like choo choo, man. They are like the gravy train is rolling. This is the one that lit the firecracker or lit the fuse on the franchise. And they knew, like, it just absolutely, it did so well that they knew that another Star Trek movie was coming. But of course they wanted Nimoy because Nimoy was such a huge draw, and he turned around and said, all right, I'll let you resurrect Spock on one condition. I get to direct the movie. And
we got Search for Spock.
And they followed up with a stinker.
I don't know. It was a decent movie. It did its job. I would say it's absolutely at least B tier, which is why I wonder why we got Motionless Picture in C tier.
Oh my god! To me, it is barely above Nemesis.
You
It is the bottom of the
so-
barrel.
but
for
Search for
me.
Spock.
Lars,
Search
you
for
need to cut his
Spock.
feed.
Yeah.
So okay, let's
I
It's
get it.
not
It
the
has
best.
the original characters. It's just I can literally count on one hand how many times I've seen it, because it is. I just find it so boring and just I don't know.
Okay, but here's the thing. I'm going to give you two very good reasons why this movie is decent.
Okay.
One, they replaced Kirstie Alley with Robin Curtis for Savick. Okay? Robin Curtis is a kick-ass. She will always be Savick to me. Okay?
Okay, she was a little bit better. I agree.
Number two, for the first time, we got to see the badassery that is the Klingon bird of prey.
That's it.
Well, I mean, come on, man. I mean, okay, so Merritt Buttrick was a great actor as David. He played very much into the he had Kirk's arrogance, but he had his mother's intelligence.
I'm not saying the acting was bad. I just I found the whole plot and the story. I don't know. It's not fun.
It was poignant because we got to see Kirk wounded for the first time, and I don't mean physically.
Mentally, yeah.
Second time.
Emotionally.
Khan kicked his ass pretty good too.
Yeah, but not as bad. I mean, that was a psychological defeat. This was an emotional defeat. Krug killed his son. Okay, which sparked off, like, I mean, you look at how Kirk dealt with the Klingons in the original series. It was mildly antagonistic. When Krug ordered the murder of David, dude, like, just absolutely, the man fell to the ground. He was so traumatized by that, to the point where his own
couldn't even overact it.
Exactly. All he just had to do is just be himself. But at the same time, look, there's just a lot of subtle nuances. You can overlook some of the silliness, like the whole McCoy, well, that's a Targ. So, but the whole thing with them being on Earth, and McCoy trying to charter a transport to Genesis, and the dude with the giant beta fish head, I get it.
Okay, so you put this down in D tier, Brandon?
For me personally, yeah.
I disagree. I mean, if I look, to be honest with you, I would almost rejig. I'd rejig Motionless Picture into C tier, and leave this in B tier.
Done. You see how quick I did that? Yeah, I can't put Motionless Picture there.
I mean, I'd be willing to accept if we moved Star Trek 3 into C tier, just because there are some real campy moments.
Yep.
Especially
Speaking of camp, let's get to the campiest of camp. Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. A probe shows up, starts messing with Earth. They figure out it's trying to talk to whales. They go back to the 80s, fly around San Francisco, make really bad jokes, steal some whales.
What do you mean
do
bad
some crazy
jokes?
shit, steal some whales, fly home, the end. Yay, we saved the whales! Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Stupid.
So okay, let's.
It was gloriously
It was campy, but it was probably one of the best storied movies.
Yeah.
As in, they had
entertaining.
Yeah, Like, I mean, the thing is, you didn't know what was going to happen to him after the destruction of the Enterprise in Star Trek 3. You knew that they had captured the Klingon bird of prey, so they end up on Vulcan. They go into exile. They try to figure out how they're gonna go back and face the music, so to speak. And then, of course, you got the probe that shows up and starts basically trying to destroy Earth, because it's like, hey man, we came here to see our friends, and our friends are gone.
What did you do with them?
Like, where are they, man? So we have real motivation. We have some great Treknobabble and pseudoscience with them using the slingshot effect to go around the sun to time travel, which they use again in Picard. And
the suspense with
movie,
Chekhov.
but it's a fun one.
Right.
You're not sure what's going to happen to him. Is he going to die in this movie?
Exactly. And then, of course, the whole silly... I mean, a lot of this was silly. The whole, the part where McCoy gives the old lady who's on dialysis, gives her a pill and says, call me in the morning. The next scene, she's being pushed like, doc gave me a pill and I got me a new kidney. And I'm like, come on, man, that's just fun. Catherine Hicks was great. You got to see just the complete fish out of water story.
It was pure 80s entertainment.
Oh, it was cheese. It was Billy Joel cheese, man. But the thing
what made it so great.
You have you finally have Spock with an unintentional sense of humor. And
yes, he was funny in this movie.
And it features the line she basically Jillian makes the comment about, let me guess, you're going to tell me you're from outer space. He's like, no, from Iowa, but it's working outer space. like, okay.
Yeah, there are so many insanely stupid lines in this movie, the hell.
Oh, yeah.
So the hell it goes in B tier.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely. The other thing is, it has Kirk Thatcher as the bus punk, and excuse me, would you mind turning that damn thing off? And the cool thing is, dude was just a producer, I think he was like a line producer or something like that. He was one of the producers in the movie, and he ends up, you can see he's swirling around, but he does this whole thing where he showed up to work and said, look, I can be this punk on the bus, and he did the whole thing himself. That was really cool. Anybody watching, and everybody who's watching right now, this is what happens when Patrick wants to do things. He gets bored and he wants to move on, so he starts being a dick about things. All right, fine.
I also don't want the episode to go an hour and a half.
Well, fine. Go ahead and let's move on to Star Trek V.
5, Kirk fights God.
Star Trek V. Kirk fights God.
Yeah. Let's see here. Some weird Vulcan shows up, kidnaps Romulan, Klingon, and human diplomats on the shitty planet of Nimbus 3. The Enterprise shows up because, of course, the Enterprise shows up. We find out the weird Vulcan is Sybok, Spock's half-brother. Ooh. He brainwashes everybody. They go to the center of the galaxy. They find a place called Shakari. Apparently, he thinks this is God. It turns out to be some douche canoe. Kirk says something about what does God need with a starship, and they end the movie the same as they begun after they blow up God, with them singing "Row, row, row your king boat."
Hey,
yeah, this is a D tier piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is definitely a tier D piece of shit, but here's the thing.
Shatner directed.
But it is a guilty pleasure.
I like same here. Whenever I watch Undiscovered Country, I always watch The Final Frontier, before or after it, because it's just, I don't know, they go together. It's just they're like these two old movies that just, it's them when they're old, them being goofy. It has the moment with Uhura and her legs and her fan dance. It's like, that is so stupid. It's awesome.
That's so Roddenberry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Getting to watch his ex-girlfriend dance half naked in the sand.
They're just laying there in the sand, just like staring at her feet.
The movie's shite, but a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, my favorite bits of this movie is, one, we get to see what equates to the Starfleet Marines. So we get to see soldiers in a Star Trek movie. That was cool for me because I was playing my original character Savon, who was inspired a lot of different things for the Wilderness Years game that I was playing at the time. The other good thing about this movie is that it has James Horner's rework of the theme, and especially right at the very beginning when we see Kirk climbing El Capitan. Why did he climb El Capitan? Get everybody with me? Because it's there.
There.
I thought because
go
Shatner's
climb
a
a
dick.
rock.
Okay, so here we go.
All right.
I'm just going to drop it here. Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
Okay.
Of the original movies, it's my actual favorite. Here, the Klingon moon of Praxis explodes. The Klingons, realizing they're up shit creek without a paddle, put out peace overtures. Obviously, they said the Enterprise. Kirk's kind of holding a grudge after Star Trek 3. And it's kind of a rough moment. The Klingon ambassador is then assassinated. It appears the Enterprise fired. Kirk and McCoy are arrested, taken, tried, sent to Repente. Kirk kicks some creature in its knee, but that's where he keeps his junk. They escape with a shapeshifter. Discover that there's a traitor and causing the problem. Meanwhile,
Iman.
Yep. Meanwhile, Spock's trying his best to get them out, and is saying everything that he's doing, anything that's not involves lying. They saddle up, pick up Kirk, fly to the peace conference. They get there. Sulu, who's now commanding Excelsior, shows up. They fight General Chang, who's got a bird of prey that can fire while cloaked. They blow him up, stop an assassination attempt, find out that a whole bunch of humans and Vulcans and Klingons were conspiring to assassinate people so that they could basically disrupt the peace talks because dicks. I think this eventually got retconned to, of course, it was Section 31, but we won't mention that any further.
Yeah.
This movie this is in my A tier. On a personal level, I like it better than Wrath of Khan. Because
it's a
a
great
political movie.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing I was about to say, it's a political movie. Okay, so for me, the worst part of this movie is the fact that it's basically, it humiliates some of the Star Trek legends, namely Uhura, where she has to translate Klingon from a book. And then
Abrams did better with this one.
And it's like ha 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 ha. And then
Click.
J.J. Abrams did better.
Yeah. The look on Uhura's face when she closes the channel, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
She went out on that shit.
Yeah. And it's like, holy crap. All right, guys. But the best part of this entire movie for me is that line. But that thing's got to have a tailpipe. so Uhura is redeemed with that one line.
Yeah. I like the beginning with Sulu. Do we report this? Are you kidding
me? Are you kidding? Shields.
I've seen this movie so many times. It's so fun. I watch it with my uncle. He knows the entire movie by heart. Or he's just he's repeating every single line the entire time.
Yeah, I do the same thing, and I irritate my wife beyond all reason.
Yeah, it definitely belongs near the top.
Oh yeah, and this is the one that ties for my A tier. Wrath of Khan was a phenomenal story, but this was a great story with phenomenal filmmaking in it. And the thing
great
is,
characters.
And remember, for those who don't know, the character of Kim Cattrall's character, the Vulcan.
Oh.
Crap! I completely blanked on her name.
Oh my God! What the hell?
We'll just call her Samantha and assume she bones everybody.
Oh, it was an S. It was Savek, or
No.
Not cervix.
No,
Cervix.
was
That's a whole different Star Trek movie.
Crap. I'm completely blanked on her name.
Damn it. So I have to go. I have to go look it up now.
Oh, sorry. I clicked the wrong thing. Get that out of there. Give me a second here. We'll figure it out. But either way,
Oh,
she
Valeris.
is
Valeris.
Valeris.
Okay,
Valeris.
so the whole thing is Valeris, the character of Valeris, was created specifically for this movie because in the original script, the traitor was
Savick?
Savick, and
what
Robin
is
Curtis said Noe Jose.
Wow.
Okay, so here's a question. Between these two, which is going higher?
I would have to say that if I had to choose, I would say Star Trek 6 is the top of the A tier.
Brandon?
I was thinking, yeah. I mean, the only other thing, the thing about Wrath of Khan also is it exploded Star Trek. But yeah, in terms of like pure
Okay.
entertainment value,
This
Undiscovered
is
Country.
harsh. So, Khan is out of running for the S tier. Because if we're saying the Undiscovered Country's better,
Yeah,
it's in the number one slot right now. So let's get one that's definitely not in the number one slot. Generation.
yeah. This is definitely a B tier.
Yeah, I would say
Is it
B.
B or is it going to be C?
Well,
It's
Let's
not
go through
that
the plot
bad.
real
I don't
quick.
think it's that bad.
I think the story is great. I think it's a little, cheese. And the reason why it gets to sit in the B tier, not the C tier, is because it has the death of Kirk. So,
You're right. That's on my. So, quick plot of the movie. We start on the Enterprise B, commanded by Cameron.
yep. Captain John Harriman.
It gets caught in this ribbon called the Nexus, trying to save some ships. They beam Guinan and a few others out, and Kirk apparently dies. We cut to the Next Generation. Yay! 'Cause this is their first movie.
On a floating ship. Is it a fast
Yeah,
ship? Ha,
some weird-
fast ship. Sorry, wrong franchise.
Yeah. Either way,
Gonna need a bigger boat.
Either way, the Enterprise ends up responding to a distress call. Somebody's blowing up planets. Meanwhile, Data gets his emotion chip, which means a lot of fun shit.
Loves shenanigans.
Yep.
I think my favorite part of this entire movie is when Geordi and Data are over on the observatory, and Data's losing his shit. He's laughing, and he's laughing about a joke that he just got from like 7 years prior.
Yeah.
Yeah, like from the pilot episode or some shit.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. Basically, we find out, and I'm blanking on his name, so I'll just call him Malcolm McDowell.
Oh, yeah, totally in
since he's the
Soren.
Yeah. Malcolm McDowell basically is a crazed Delarian, wants to get back into the Nexus, and he's blowing up suns to try to do it. And, of course, that means there's going to be a planet in the way that they've got to stop.
Look, the
Enterprise races there. Meanwhile, the Duras sisters, who are working with Soren, have kidnapped Geordi the Forge, stick some stuff in his visor because I got to use the visor for stuff. They get the shield codes. They blast the Enterprise to pieces, cause a warp core breach. They separate the ship. They made the mistake of letting Deanna Troi fly the thing. She crashes it. The sun gets destroyed. The Nexus destroys the entire planet. Luckily, Picard gets sucked in the Nexus, says he wants to get some help, goes and finds James T. Kirk, who's also in the Nexus.
and apparently
they
who
ride out.
just got there.
Just got there.
Yep, they ride out. They, of course, ride out in the end because Kirk's got to go out with a bang, and he goes out with a whimper. Yay.
I was saying,
But
Kirk
in the
wants to go out
process,
with a
they
bang and in glory.
Yep. Basically, they stop the probe from blowing up the sun, but kill Soren. Soren kills Kirk. Enterprise crashes. Now they can get a new ship for the next movie. I don't know. Do we call this B or do we put this a high C?
Look, I'm still willing to keep it in a B tier just again because it kills Kirk. But the other thing is
Heath
that
Shatner the thing is the greatest.
yeah, okay. The only justification I could see for slipping us down into the C tier is that there is a starship-sized plot hole with the fact that both Guinan and Soren left the Nexus. Like I mean, even Guinan turns around and says it's like being inside pure joy. Then why, why would you leave? Like
That's my only issue with it.
What would you like? Why would you leave?
Hole.
I remember.
Insert Kirk from Star Trek V. I need my pain.
Jeez. You know what? That's it. I'm rolling end credits. That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, seriously, if you were that happy, if you were that content, even if you knew that it wasn't real, shit. Like the thing is, like now, if I had a holodeck right now, that would be it. That would be like the height of my entertainment. TV, nah, whatever.
Oh my god, hell yeah, that'd be the end of my life right there.
And that would be like there,
I'm living here.
And it could practically
Except
be
when you
anything
have
else.
to. Except when you have to turn it off to clean the jizz filters, but oh well.
Yeah, that's Barclay's program.
It gets dematerialized out.
Or half the programs, all the programs at Quarks, and half the programs on the Cerritos, obviously.
Exactly.
Okay, here's the big one. We're dropping. So let's jump into First Contact. I put it in front right now because it's between this one and Star Trek 6.
Okay.
Okay, so let me give you the plot real fast.
All right.
The Borg show up. The
Say no more.
Enterprise roars in on the end. We get to see the Defiant on the big screen shooting at the Borg, but Worf gets his ship's ass kicked because we had to find a way to get Worf back onto the Enterprise. We get to see the NCC 1701E, the Sovereign class beauty that takes us through the rest of Star Trek movies till we get to Abramsville. They basically, the Borg are destroyed at Earth, but send a smaller sphere back in time. They go back in time. The Borg managed to blow up the Borg, but the Borg managed to get on the ship. Meanwhile, they go back down because the Borg were trying to blow up a place in Bozeman, Montana, where Zefram Cochrane is preparing to fire off his ship. Obviously, they have to get the ship operational, launch it, and make sure Zefram Cochrane makes his flight in time. Everybody makes Zefram Cochrane very uncomfortable because everybody loves Zefram Cochrane.
Everybody
and he just wants money and wants to not do this shit.
Oh, wait,
So-
guys, quick. Who am I?
Yeah. So
Geordie
ultimately,
LaForge.
they managed to defeat the Borg. We meet the Borg Queen. They managed to defeat her at the very end between Picard and Data, who all seem to have some sexual tension with her. Meanwhile, Riker and Geordie and Zefram Cochrane launch and fly the Phoenix out, and we get our beautiful scene with what's this damn song? Magic Carpet Ride. They fly to warp, come back. It's pretty cool overall. The Borg are defeated at the very last second. Yay.
Borg.
They managed to get. They solve the problem, head home. The Vulcans show up, First Contact, and Ooby Dooby. The end. So here's the question: what goes to the S tier? Because it's it's either Star Trek 6 or First Contact. I know what I'm going to say. Let's go with Lars first.
There's no questions asked. First Contact for me is my absolute favorite. It has the best action. It has some of the coolest things, we get to see a big screen version of Dixon Hill. We get to see Captain Picard stitch a guy from asshole to breakfast with a Tommy gun. We get stupid lines like "Borg sounds Swedish," and then we get the scene where Data jumps down like 10 or 15 meters and then gets stitched off from asshole to breakfast by Lily. You sense a theme here?
Yeah, it's the best. I mean, including Picard, just his acting, you see that British, why he's such a great actor in this movie.
Yeah, great British Frenchman.
With his Ahab rendition.
Which, by the way, Patrick, because you haven't seen it, they actually finally address the British Frenchman thing in Picard season 2.
I'm gonna have to watch that shit. Okay, it is going in the S tier. So there it is. First Contact, absolutely, because if I have to pick Kirk versus Picard, it's Picard all the way. So that brings us to Insurrection.
Insurrection.
Okay, so go ahead and do your synopsis. I want you to drop that in the D tier.
Okay, done. I'm putting it after Search for Spock. Now here's the thing. What the hell's the plot of this movie? Oh yeah, I can barely remember. The Enterprise gets called to go to a planet where they discover the people there. The Enterprise gets called to a planet to deal with Data because he's obviously gone crazy. They discover that it's because he's trying to protect the people on the planet because it's basically a fountain of youth, and there's some bad guys, the Sona, who want to basically suck the planet dry, and Starfleet's in on it. Probably a Section 31 thing eventually, but oh well.
Probably. Okay, so here's the thing. The comments...
Geordi gets eyes, Riker shaves the beard, and still somehow manages to be sexy.
Stupid sexy Riker.
Worf goes through puberty. Crusher and Troy and apparently Data all have very sensitive nipples or something.
Firmer boobs.
Yeah, and firmer boobs. And basically they run around, they fight the Sona and basically expose the Starfleet admiral, who's a dick, but he gets turned into Silly Putty or whatever. What's the tool on?
They turn him into Stretch Armstrong.
Tool on what's the picture program? They did a smear with his face or something, and they save the planet, of course, because that's what they do. It's not much of a movie. The plot sucks.
Well, yeah, I mean it's the whole relocation of the Indians is bad, okay? It's that trope.
It's a TV episode.
Yeah, it is an extended TV episode, because here's the thing, the bad parts of this movie is pretty much the majority of it, because it is so contrived. Now, not to say that, telling a moral story is not a bad thing. That's definitely a good thing, but again, it just seemed so overacted, so contrived, and the thing is that it just seemed way longer than it needed to be. The good thing about this movie is we get Sir Patrick Stewart and Brent Spiner singing bits from the HMS Pinafore. Come on, man. I'm still waiting for somebody to hit me with a knockdown blow.
We're gonna see some badass Star Trek weaponry too.
Yeah, it's got its good bits, its bad bits, but it's probably the most forgettable movie in this list.
Yeah, agreed. And there is one other heavily contrived and silly moment of this movie, and that is the Microsoft joystick that pilots the ship.
Let's be honest though, Frakes just wanted to hold his stick.
Yeah, he just wanted to hold his stick on camera and not get censored for it.
So let's talk about Nemesis.
Nemesis.
The Remans clone Picard. They draw the Enterprise in. We find another Soong android. There's a big fight. They crash the ship. They crash the Enterprise into the Romulan ship. Data dies. The end.
Okay, just so you know,
this movie's shit.
The only reason Brent Spiner came back and did another movie, he did it with on the condition that they killed Data.
He dies
because
they killed the franchise. So there.
Yeah, they did more damage than season 3 of Enterprise. But okay, so let's look at the positive of this movie.
I will say,
One, we got to see ships running into each other, like literally running into each other. Two, we got to see yet another Sung android this one was a complete dipshit, you know. And then three, we get the Scorpion fighters aboard the Scimitar. Those were pretty badass. I still have those on my ship in STO.
yeah.
And then we get to see Riker and Troy get married at the beginning of the movie, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, there's the best part. Wesley shows up.
Yeah, to see Wesley finally
Wesley
in a movie.
Wesley shows up only to end up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
That's how they were able to that's how they were able to justify Wesley's character being what he is in Picard season 2. So still, yeah, I mean, kind of a shitty thing. You know, and the thing is also most people don't realize that this was probably one of the earliest movies that Tom Hardy was in, and it was such a failure, such a critical and commercial failure that he sank into a deep depression.
He
almost killed his career.
And almost killed his career. You know, like that's impressive. That is impressive.
I'm going to say this is absolutely the worst movie on this list. Period! Exclamation point, including the one that goes in that bottom column.
Oh yeah. Well,
this
is a franchise killer.
There is one other good thing. This movie features my personal favorite Romulan, Commander Dinatra, Dina Meyer.
Oh yeah.
She was kick-ass, man. She had some brass ones. She was dragging across.
That's probably the only cool scene. That whole scene where everyone just like melts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When they use the Thaleron radiation.
Yeah.
And melts the Senate.
That was probably the only cool part in the movie.
Well, I guess Shinzon is the other one who
shits on,
who dissolved the Senate.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, onwards.
I watched that once for completionist purposes, never again. Okay, so Star Trek, the aka Abrams Trek, aka the beginning of the Kelvin timeline. So, where to begin on this one? We've started with the USS Kelvin. It gets blown up by some guy who comes back in time. And on the ship, James T. Kirk is born. We get to see Kirk grow up, Spock grow up.
We get Thor.
Yep, Captain Thor.
Oh yeah, Thor. Yeah, Kirk's dad is Thor. He dies.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, does anybody realize? Did anybody notice that Thor would look pretty skinny, man? Like he was a dork. Like
this was before he discovered
this was pre-Thor.
weightlifting.
Yeah.
So we find out that the bad guy is a Romulan who's really pissed about his planet being blown up, and Spock, the real Spock,
Prime Spock,
is the one tried to save the planet. He got ruined on the planet, which we find out later after the bad guy shows up and destroys Vulcan, killing Winona Ryder. I mean Spock's mom.
Oh, so the planet that Spock was marooned on. Fun fact, it was called Delta Vega. Second fun fact, it was not indeed Turkana 4.
No rape gangs.
No rape gangs. Just a bunch of J.J. Abrams styled monsters. Like,
no, JJ's crew's the rape gang here. So basically, the entire Starfleet gets destroyed except for the Enterprise. Kirk and Spock fight. Kirk somehow manages to become the captain of the ship after Pike gets messed up, and they eventually beat the bad guy and win. There's a lot of explosions and crazy shit, and so much lens flare you literally cannot see the screen half the time. Can't look at the screen half the time. So where are we put this one?
That one I'm gonna say for me, just if I was coming from a Star Trek aspect, I would definitely put it in probably the C tier. But if I was treating it as a good space, just a space action thrill or action movie, I'd put it at the end of the B tier.
Yeah,
So
that's
do we
what I
put it
was
at the end of the
thinking.
B
Like,
tier or the top of the C tier?
I was thinking like high C, low B. That's probably right. That's
Yeah,
like right.
I would give it a low B, just because it did actually bring the franchise back after being dormant for so long.
Yeah.
It was
After
an overall
after
good
Nemesis.
story. Yeah, it was it was a good story. You know, I mean, they managed to mash up a few things. It screwed with a couple of things I really felt was stupid, but then again, I am a pretty forgiving person.
And we get to
so-
watch Kirk go through the Kobayashi Maru.
Oh yeah,
Eating
an
an apple.
like the
Yeah.
asshole
Prove
that
that
he
he's
is.
even more of an asshole.
Yep.
Yeah, I will say this movie had a ton of heavy lifting to do. It botched a lot of it, but overall it delivered a movie, and it probably drew a lot of people back into Star Trek that really hadn't gotten into it before, because the movies were dead, the shows were dead.
So
Yeah.
This got people talking about Star Trek and checking out the other stuff.
yep. The other thing
So
is
yeah, let's give it a B tier out of mercy.
okay.
So now we get to this.
Okay.
Star Trek into bullshit. Officially, this movie does not exist because it is. Okay, so
This is Star Trek 2 Part 2.
this
Part
this
deux.
is J.J.
Part
Abrams
deux.
taking Star Trek 2, throwing it in a blender, and seeing what happens.
Let's have a motorcycle in space.
Let me try see if I can.
Or was that the
let me
third
see if
one?
I
That
can
was the
remember
third
the
one.
plot of this
Oh, yeah.
thing. 'Cause
This
I
is
have
the- this is the
literally
one.
blanked-
Oh, I could tell you what
Like-
this whole thing is. This okay, so it starts off with basically Kirk and Co. breaking the Prime Directive by observing an alien, a lowered alien race, and then them basically accidentally,
Showing the
accidentally,
Enterprise off.
yeah, shows the Enterprise is off, so that to save Spock, who is in the middle of a volcano, and then they manage
It's
to get him out.
ridiculous.
Yeah, they managed to get him out, and of Kirk
It's an
then.
Abrams movie.
Spock basically snitches on Kirk. Kirk loses his command. They go back to Earth to do this whole thing. Meanwhile, this Starfleet officer's child is dying of a apparently incurable disease. He talks to some mysterious guy. Mysterious guy gives him the
Magic
ability.
space blood.
Yep, magic space blood, which cures his daughter, and on one condition, he had to throw his ring into a glass of water and blow up apparently Section 31 location that was masquerading as an archive, Starfleet archives in London. So we find out that Benedict Cumberbatch. Anyways, plays.
We'll just call him John Harrison through the remainder of the movie because that is his name.
That's
period.
right, because
He is not Khan.
yeah, I love the what was it, How It Should Have Ended video way back when that movie came out, and they were like, this is how it should. He's like the worst kept secret. He's like, I just want you to know my name is dun 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 Khan. He's like, right, I'm Jim Kirk. That's Spock with McCoy. He's like, no, I don't think you understand. I said my name is dun 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 Khan. He's like, right, Bones, Spock, McCoy. You don't. And then they open up this thing and they just gas him to sleep.
Yeah. I don't think I want to continue with this movie. The only thing that is better in this movie than any other Star Trek, the only thing they got even vaguely right is the Klingons in this movie are better than Discovery Klingons.
Barely.
That's about it.
Barely.
That is literally the only thing. It is literally take Star Trek 2, throw it in a blender, flip some things around, cast Carol Marcus in there so you can have some boobs. Literally, that's what she's there for.
Yep.
Make RoboCop the bad guy. Stick Section 31 in there. We got an Enterprise, but we got a much bigger, badder ship that kicks the shit out of it, and somehow they get disabled outside the moon and fly to Earth, just flopping over.
Yep. And then they managed to make a huge, massive starship crash in San Francisco Bay.
It's ridiculous. It's dumb. I will say this. casting is generally good, even the not Khan casting.
You mean Benadryl Cumbersnatch?
Yeah. The set pieces are visually stunning and pretty cool. The plot holes are so bad it's not even funny. I watched this in the theater once. I then watched it a second time at home, and the movie no longer exists.
So that just ends right there. Now to come to our last.
I think it might rate somewhere in this area if I cared to do so, but no.
If Star Trek 2 didn't exist, then it would be higher up in the tier somewhere.
Yeah, it'd be a D tier movie.
Yes.
Okay, so that brings us to Star Trek Beyond. In this, the Enterprise goes picks up some alien woman who says her ship's lost. They go through some kind of field, or I don't know what it was exactly. I'm blanking on the exact nature of the thing. They go, the ship gets completely blasted apart, because in Star Trek 3, the ship gets destroyed.
Yeah.
They get marooned on a planet. They have a lot of interactions trying to get the gang back together. A bunch of them get captured by a bad guy. Turns out it's Idris Elba, who has fought wars for centuries and got stuck out here and really doesn't like Starfleet, so he wants to destroy them. He eventually takes his ship. They find an old ship. What do you know which class the ship was?
Oh hell, I don't know. I don't know that. I can't even remember
one,
the name.
It's basically the same ship as the NX-01 Enterprise, more or less. They drag that out, chase after Big Bad, destroy all the alien ships with the Beastie Boys.
I was gonna say
Sabotage is the most awesome song, but they technobabble their way to it. Then Kirk, of course, they fly the old ship in, manage to stop them, except the bad guy gets to thing and has a super weapon. Kirk kicks his ass. Yay, the end. Also, Sulu's gay. The end. That's it.
Don't forget motorcycles. They ride motorcycles in Star Trek.
That's right.
Justin Lin directed this one, and I think it's actually the best of the Kelvin movies. No question.
You think it's better than the first one?
Yep, it's already there.
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree that it is better. I find it's better than the first of the Abrams movies.
I would personally almost consider the A tier for this one. So, Brandon, you obviously don't like this one. What's your thoughts?
I mean, it's better than the second one for sure, but I think the first one is the best one.
Well,
they started out great, and the second one was, like I said, crap.
Okay, so for me, what I did like about this is one, the Yorktown station. That was pretty cool. We got to see some great classical music, aka Sabotage. Is that classical
Beastie
music?
Boys in a Star Trek movie?
Look, I'm telling you what. If I was
second time, but this time they paid it off well. They paid it off from the first movie, and they technobabbled the way into it. That's what matters.
And the thing is, like, if I was serving on the Enterprise, aka the Apple Store in space, if I was sitting there and somebody's like, "Is that classical music?" I'd be like, "Hang on, I'll be right back." And get up off my chair and walk over and bam, just punch him right in the face, like, don't you do that ever again. Don't you do that ever again. That is BS, and you know it. And we all know that classical music in Star Trek is actual classical music.
Yeah, eat a dick, Enterprise.
That's right, damn it. So yeah, I mean, there were a couple of good pieces for me, but there were also some I mean, it was kind of
okay.
In the grand scheme of things, I felt it was milquetoast.
So Brandon, you put this. Would we all agree it's definitely B tier?
I would agree that it's a B tier one, but I think Brandon might disagree and say it's like
your thoughts?
A D tier.
I would not that bad. I would say like a C, but whatever you guys think. I think it's C tier.
Okay, for that it's going to go behind. I would definitely put it up here, but I think with the dissension, we're going to leave it right there, just beyond the OG one, the OG Abrams Trek, and we'll call it there. So
yep. All right, so we have
There's our list, folks.
There is our list of 12, 13. I mean 12. Damn it.
You keep mixing.
Yeah. Sorry, there's just one, and like I keep every time I try to think there's a 13th movie, I just start getting like a syntax error. It does
It's
not.
crazy
compute.
that there was never one for Deep Space Nine, Voyager, or Enterprise.
Yeah, and that's with a good reason.
Yeah, because Nemesis.
Exactly.
Which is why it's at the bottom, except for the movie that doesn't exist.
Exactly. So, all right. Well,
that's where we're gonna leave it.
Yep. I think we got a good list there.
Yeah.
If anybody watching this disagrees with us, well, we don't care. Yeah, we do.
Again, we didn't put Wrath of Khan as our S tier, so there's gonna be people that disagree.
Yeah, fair enough. So that'll be all for this episode of Treknicity. Thank everybody who watches our show and comments and gives us feedback and all that good stuff. Make sure to look down here. See, I'm pointing down there at the bottom of the screen. You can see that's where we find us on social media. As always, thank you very, very much everybody who watches and supports us. And again, as always, here on Treknicity, I'm looking for my buttons. I can't find my buttons. I moved them all around. Anyways, I'm Lars.
I'm Patrick.
Are you serious? I'm Brandon.
And as always, here on Treknicity, remember to block out what you spock out. We'll see you next time, folks.